everyone. Welcome back to Open Your Eye podcast. Update for y'all. If y'all listened to my episode last week, you know I just got back from New Orleans, celebrated my birthday, and kind of like a congratulations, you made it through the like one of the worst 10 months of your life through medic school. So that was great. I definitely want to go back and visit when it's not parade season, like around Mardi Gras, just because, you know, there was a lot of traffic. We didn't really get to do a lot of like sightseeing and things like that because most of our time was spent trying to get through traffic and get to the other side of, you know, the city. But other than that, it was a great experience. I loved the parade and everything. I'm glad that I got to experience that. I'm very thankful. Happy belated Valentine's Day to everybody. Hope your Valentine's Day was great. I know mine was. I was at work, but our shift did like a gift exchange kind of thing, so it was really special. And today, I'm going to talk about something that I am kind of currently working through myself. So you're going to kind of hear me process out loud to y'all. And I like episodes like this because, you know, I created this podcast as a way to kind of aid people on their personal spiritual healing journey. But I am not, you know, some all-knowing person, right? Like I still have things that I have to work through, traumas that I have to process, and things that I have to heal from my past specifically, to continue on this journey, right? And so this is one of those things, it's one of those moments, and I'm hoping that what I share with y'all today, in the aspect that I'm sharing it with you in, will help someone. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today, again, relates more on the relationship side. Like I said in my previous podcast episodes, it's like relationships are the only cycle that I haven't been able to break yet. So that's mainly what I talk about. However, I do feel like what I have to say and how I'm processing this can be used in other aspects of your life. Okay, so just putting that as a disclaimer. So, with the title of this episode, you know, seeing is believing. I am of the opinion of if you see it, you know you can be it kind of thing. And again, this goes for all aspects of life, whether that's relationships, jobs, you know, what have you. And because I've been having a difficult time with my relationships, I had to kind of do some introspective work and figure out what was the root, right? So that's one of the things that I'm working on this year and beyond, is finding the root and healing it. Because if you don't figure out where it's stemming from, then you're just going to continue to repeat the same pattern until you heal what the actual problem is, right? So I started to think about the examples of relationships that I've had in my life. Okay. As most of you know, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, or if you're a personal friend of mine, I grew up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And on my dad's side of the family, there were a lot of strong, faithful, like married couples that had been married for years and years and years, like just supportive husband and wife dynamic, right? But on my mom's side, however, aside from my grandparents, I saw a lot of single women. And it got me thinking, why is it that, because I really got exposure to both ends of the spectrum, right? However, the people that were closest to me and still closest to me after my mom's death were, the example that I had was single women, right? My mom was a single mom, raised me and my sibling for majority of our lives. And after my mom passed, my aunt that took us in was also a single mom, right? But I asked myself, I'm like, okay, but that wasn't the only exposure that I had to relationships, right? I also had my grandparents on my dad's side, my aunt and uncles on my dad's side. But then I realized that while, yes, those were examples for me, it was also a huge contributing factor to my abandonment trauma, because once I left the religion, they, for lack of a better term, disowned me. Okay. For context, I haven't spoken to nor seen my grandparents or basically anybody on my dad's side of the family aside from my dad and my uncle who aren't part of the religion in about 15 years, give or take. Yeah. And so I had to kind of figure out why their relationships weren't really the model for me. And I believe it's because subconsciously I've been blocking out that time period of my life because it was traumatic for me. Not only because of the fact that they pretty much abandoned me, but let them tell it I was the one that abandoned them because I left the religion. But also because of the religion, right? So there's a lot of things from my childhood up until the age 15 that I have repressed just because of trauma, right? However, my life was spent with my mom, so she was a major example for me. And also after my mom passed, our aunt. And how this plays into my, I guess, patterns with relationships, I feel like, is because I watched my mom be single and support me and my sibling for majority of my life, half my life. And I saw that end of the spectrum where she was basically alone. I never knew my mom to date, have a boyfriend, get remarried, nothing. And for context, sorry, that's my cat. He's desperately trying to get into the room because he is very clingy and cannot be away from me for more than 5 minutes. Okay. My apologies. So for context, my dad cheated on my mom multiple times. This was, I believe, shortly after I was born. So I don't really remember all of this going down. However, I do remember them getting divorced. And my mom never remarried after that. I don't really remember her, going out on dates or being involved with anybody after that, right? So she had been alone for all the time that I knew her, right? And then I saw the other end of the spectrum with my aunt, who had also been single for as long as I could remember. But then when we moved into her house, she was with this man. She had married this man who was just not a good fit, Let me put it that way. There were a lot of behaviors that I felt like were not healthy. I saw my aunt pretty much bending over backwards for this man, doing, everything that she could around the house. My aunt also owns her own business. She's on her feet, 16 hours out of the day as a hairstylist, but still managed to come home and cook, an entire dinner, or, at the very least go out and get, dinner for everybody to eat. Like, very considerate, taking care of everybody's needs. And yet she was always so unhappy, right? And I think for me, it got to a point where, because I always, whenever a relationship would end badly, so to, or just end period, and then, retrospect, hindsight is 2020, noticing that like I really wasn't getting what I deserved from that relationship, my best friend would always hit me with the same question, why is it that you think you don't deserve to be treated the way that you need to be treated? And it always like confused me, because it's like, I know I deserve to be treated the way that I want to be treated. And, I know that I deserve this happiness and this treatment. So why is it that I'm staying in these relationships with these men that clearly don't treat me that way, right? And so putting all that together with my past and the examples of relationships that I've had, I think it boiled down to the fact that because I saw my mom alone basically all of my life and having to raise two children by herself, then going into another household where my aunt had been single for almost the entire time that I had known her, but now she's married and she has someone. Even though it's not perfect, I think I thought that at least that's better than being alone, right? And so, that kind of, when I said it out loud, I was like, damn. It was better than being alone. So maybe for me, it was almost kind of like FOMO, like fear of missing out. Like, okay, yeah, this person doesn't exactly treat me the way that I deserve. It's not all rainbows and sunshine, but what relationship is, using that excuse or that logic that like, oh, relationships are just hard, and these things are normal, and this and the third. And I think that kind of mindset had me stuck in a lot of relationships, because I was telling myself that all of these things are normal and just to stick it out, stick it out, stick it out. But in reality, it's like, well, first of all, yes, hardships are normal just in everyday life, not just in relationships. But in a healthy relationship, your problem, your issue should not be the other person. It should be outside of you two. And it's you two against whatever the problem is, right? But also, it's not supposed to be that hard, right? And it also takes two people wanting to come together and work through things, not just one person pulling all the weight, right? And so it got me thinking, because I feel like I would almost either I would try to alter things about myself in order to keep whoever I was with, or I would try so hard to like not necessarily force, but like continue to reiterate like the things that I wanted, the things that I expected in a relationship, you know, all of these things, like having to basically drill it into this person, all to still have nothing to show for it in the end. And it made me think about a quote that I saw recently. I'm probably going to butcher the hell out of this. I don't exactly remember how it, you know, exactly how they put it, but in the gist of it was, instead of trying to teach someone your song, go where your music is already being played, right? So it's like, instead of trying to morph somebody into the person that you need them to be to treat you the way that you want and deserve to be treated, go where that type of mentality is already just a thing. Like, there's no convincing, it just is, right? And it takes work because, I'm speaking from personal experience, it's hard to feel at ease when you are surrounded by people who already get you and you don't have to explain or convince, when that's all that you've been used to having to do, right? So at first, it's gonna be hard, and you're gonna feel triggered, and you're not gonna trust it, and you're not gonna feel safe, because you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, because it just feels too good. Like, why is it this easy, right? It shouldn't be this easy, but at the end of the day, as a matter of fact, it should be, because what you're asking for is not out of the ordinary. It's not, you know, extravagant to the point that other people can't relate to what you're wanting and what you deserve. So what it really comes down to is just trying to understand a little bit better why you might have made certain decisions that you made in the past, what contributed to it, the lesson that you got from it, and what you're going to do from here on out to break that pattern. Now that you understand how that pattern came to be, now you can start making steps to breaking it. So that's what I'm doing currently. I have been blessed with an opportunity for something new, and I'm not gonna lie, it's scary. I'm scared. I am unsure about a lot of things, mostly myself. I have a lot of intrusive, you know, thoughts going through my head that, you know, I can feel myself like almost trying to self-sabotage because it just feels too good to be true. But at the same time, I know I deserve it, right? So my hope for y'all is, if you are blessed with an opportunity for something new, That's scary. I hope that you can find the courage to look deep, find the root, heal it, so that you can believe that you deserve everything that's coming to you. So that's all I have for y'all this week. Until we meet again, namaste.